The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Remember before COVID-19, when we could go to shows or celebrate in person or have family gatherings where the only worry was when someone was going to talk politics? Let's get back to that. Let's get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Sure, we'll have to keep wearing masks for a while, but you know what? This is the start. Go to covid19.nj.gov/vaccine to register for your vaccination. Remember traveling somewhere? Anywhere? Yeah, let's get back to that.
The COVID-19 vaccines were developed and tested within stringent guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
We had independent scientific reviews from a data safety monitoring board.
Overwhelmingly, it's safe for you.
Hear more from New Jersey doctors about COVID-19 at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/vaxfacts. It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/vaxfacts.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
And it's June. Just like that. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
You know, I do have to say, 2021 seems to be going by a little bit quicker than 2020 did.
It's zipping by.
Yeah. I recall about a year ago feeling like, is it December? No, it's June. Yeah.
Time's starting to slow down locally for me right now. I think I just switched to a different cartridge. What is this anyway? Let me go grab the package. I was going to finish the other one off, and it was getting sticky at the end, where you'd really have to suck on it.
I hate that.
Yeah, and I didn't want to be on the podcast like, okay, just give me about 30 seconds to get a really good hit off of this thing.
It's because, too, the other thing is at least with problems, is sometimes you suck up you're sucking so hard, you'll actually suck some of the fucking shit through.
I have had that, and mostly with so I had a problem with the MKX. Is that the brand? MKX, MXK, yes. Something like that? I had a problem with a few of their carts, and the last one that I got from them was so goopy that, yeah, I was sucking hard on it, and these like balls of wax would pop out the top of it.
Yeah, no, I've had some like that, and it's funny. MKX is on my no-fly list, just because. Yeah, every time I got in the cartridge, it's been an issue. I had one straight up fall apart one time. I emailed the company, showed them pictures of it. They're like, "Yeah, that sucks," and then never heard back.
Yeah,
like so. Yeah,
I don't know. I do see that their products have been discounted quite a lot recently.
Also burns really quick. That's also why I don't like it.
So I don't know what's up with that company. I've had really good luck with Pyramid, and I've been kind of sticking with them lately. And they even I got a deal on these. They were called Pyramid Gold, and they were just a lower price, and they're a lower THC. So this one is a hybrid, and it says it's total THC 77%. So on the lower end for a concentrate, certainly, but not tremendously.
No, it's still. People forget your average joint is somewhere like if it's somewhere between 20 and 30. So
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, usually with the concentrate, the C-cell cartridges or any kind of cartridge like that, what do you usually see? Like over 80%?
Yeah, between 80
85.
and 90. I got a 91er right now.
There you go. So, it's a difference, and it's about a relative difference in price too. So I think the deal I got was 4 of these for $100. I was like, that, even if these are half the strength of what I was getting, it still works out.
Hey, look at you. That's a medical deal. That's a cart deal I see all the time.
Yeah. So this one is Purple Star Cookie, some kind of hybrid. And I just cracked this thing, and it's hitting me pretty hard already. It's not Creeper, that's for sure. It's announcing itself from the get.
I prefer that.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going on.
Upfront weed.
Yeah, I don't want to be like sitting there hitting this cartridge, like, God damn it, this shit sucks, and then 20 minutes later, I'm at a stoplight for 30 seconds. Like, wait, what? Huh? Like...
And that was another problem I was having with the MKX stuff, was inconsistency. I felt like I was really ripping on it, and I wasn't really getting high off of it. And then other times, I was like, whoa, I only took like one hit.
Hey, stoners like any other consumer, we like consistency.
Yeah, so there seems to be there's the gold, the Pyramid Gold, there's the regular Pyramid cartridges, and then there's the live resin stuff.
So it's a Pyramid Platinum, Pyramid Silver.
And I have to say that regardless of what line you're buying, it's an equivalent value. You do get... the live resin is a better taste. It's a higher potency. It's a better experience, but it's also a pricier product. But it's not outlandish. It's not like you're treating yourself by getting one of those. It's just, you're getting that much more THC, more bang for your buck for that price as well.
Yeah, it's just you're going to hit it less. Like I noticed, like a half a gram of live resin would last me like the same amount of time as a gram of distillate.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it all washes out if you have a good, consistent product like this. And I'm not shilling for Pyramid. We have no stake in that game, and I'm not trying to hate on MKX. I hope there's a lot of good competition out there, and I hope that they step their game up and bring a better product to the market, because that shit that they're doing ain't gonna cut it. And when you're dealing with a product like this, I look at things like bad cartridges as tells, and you've worked in food service industry, restaurants and stuff like that. You know what these tells are. You can look at a dining room and guess how messed up the kitchen's going to be.
Oh, I was talking with I was on an interview type thing on Friday in a restaurant with a guy, talking about we could both probably go into any kind of concept and see where the bottleneck is. Like go into somewhere that's busy,
right?
Walk from the front door to the back door and find the bottleneck in that time. Mm-hmm. So yes,
yeah. So I've lost my train of thought. I don't know why I picked that analogy.
I think you're all getting around this.
But you have tells. So
yes, tells.
If I get a shitty cartridge, it happens, but you get a couple of those, and you're like, well, what else is going? They're buying cheap cartridges, so they're probably getting the bottom of the barrel stuff. Who knows what they're using for wicks and everything, or what kind of additives they might be putting in this. If they're cheaping out in that way, they're cheaping out in other ways. And at the end of the day, it's not really an expensive product, cannabis in general, even in these newer forms. But it's not something that you want to cheap out on either.
No, I have a friend who owns an oil company. MCO, Motor City Oil. What up? But he said that's one of the things that when they were doing cartridges that he was kind of a stickler on was the quality of the cartridges that they were using.
Mm-hmm. Because you have to consider stuff like that. Unless you just want to be big tobacco. Yeah. If you have any kind of conscience at all and want to retain long-term users, you want a product that's not going to damage them over time. If you get cheap cartridges and bad products, we've seen, now granted, we're talking legal market, and we've seen a lot of all this stuff about vaping and the whole ban on it. All that was kind of fading away until these black market THC cartridges started popping up again. And that's why we now have the flavor ban and all that stuff, and now they're going after menthol cigarettes again. There's another strong push against tobacco in general, and it all stems from these black market THC cartridges that really are a symptom of a failed drug war and not the dangers of vaping, of THC, of anything. Now,
not to completely spin this conversation in another direction, but I did have the thought this week, remember how I was like, maybe that was coronavirus? They're now saying COVID was around in October in 2020. China lied about how early it showed up. So,
right.
The only thing I came up to refute my own argument was it didn't start really spreading like crazy.
Oh, you're saying that maybe some of these lung damage, it was just coincidence.
Yeah, some of those COVID vape panic stories was early COVID.
Maybe.
Because now the timeline syncs up. But anyway, didn't want to.
But it's kind of moot, isn't it? Because either way, what it really illustrates, if you look at it logically, it illustrates that you have a weakness in your system, right? You want safe and you want a safe product for public consumption if you're talking about legal anything, but just, cannabis would be like any other product. And I keep losing my train of thought on this shit.
It's a nod to the pyramid gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Hats off to pyramid. Even your low end product. It's managing to knock me for a bit of a loop.
Gets the job done.
I don't know, kids. Look, don't totally chintz out on stuff you put in. Don't buy your snacks from the dollar store.
Yeah.
I know it's enticing. I know they look just like Hydrox. But, dude, that shit ain't good for you.
Right. Well, no, I mean, I could just tell you, I've had my card for 7 years, and when I started going to dispensaries, all the carts looked the same. They were all that same cheap-ass cart with the wick in it, that everybody was using. And now, every cart company has a different type of cart. It's crazy. You never get the same cart twice nowadays.
Yeah, not if you're buying different companies.
Yeah.
So we had Memorial Day. Hopefully you had a chance to relax and, I don't know, remember.
You know what Memorial Day had me remember is don't drink like you're in your 20s. I went to 2 parties and drank for 12 hours both days, and then needed the following day, the entire day, to recover. And going, how did I used to do this every day? Well, not every. You know what I'm saying?
Every weekend.
No, right? Man. We would go out we would go out. There was a period from 23 to 25 where we had a bar every night of the week. I shit you, because me and one guy that because we were pizza delivery drivers. We would leave every night. Short store close at 11. Cash in your pocket. You're just going out and I'll work tomorrow. I'll make more.
Yeah.
No, we do.
Getting off late with cash in your pocket. I mean, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you not go straight to the bar with that?
Well, no. And 2, we knew we had a bar for every night of the week. We knew a special somewhere every night of the week. Sunday through Saturday. So.
Now, I had the same period. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't. Drinking wasn't as big. It was more about the ecstasy and acid and all that stuff. So. It's if you were going out to a club on a Tuesday or a Thursday night because, I don't know, somebody that you knew was playing there or something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting wrecked. But then again, it could, because somebody could just be like, hey, I got all this acid I need to eat. And you want to help? And then you call into work the next day because you're like, yeah, I kind of mind melded with 20 other strangers last night, so I'm not coming in.
Yeah, I'm still tripping, so I'll be in tomorrow, hopefully.
Oh, I read this story about a guy who took. The story says he took 40,000 ecstasy pills over the course of 9 years.
So is he on disability or what's going on?
No, well, I mean, part of this article was actually about how this is one of the safest recreational drugs that you can do. And while it's certainly not good for mood, if you have problems with mood stabilization, if you have, you know,
I was gonna say, yeah.
If you have issues with depression, it might not be the drug for you because it will. I'm not saying it don't fuck your brain out because it do.
It uses up all your happy juice. That's why you feel so awesome.
But as far as like long-term damage, no, there doesn't appear to be any. And I was trying to see if I could find in this story real quick. Yeah, here it is. For the first 2 years of doing the drug, he was taking 5 tablets every weekend. Okay, it starts off like, that's a bit much, but okay, you know. I went through like a summer of every weekend doing it, you know, Friday and Saturday night, and usually only a pill or a pill and a half. And by the end of that summer, I was in such a funk all throughout the week, having such a hard time recovering emotionally from it, honestly, that I was just like, this is a once in a while thing.
See, I knew motherfuckers who were doing it like every other day.
Well, yeah, there was a promoter that we knew named Dean, and he went out to California for a while. He came back and he said, I learned in California that you cannot overdose on ecstasy, that it's just impossible. So this guy,
I think we have says, like all this too. We have to qualify this with pure ecstasy.
Yes, which is apparently, I mean, that's pretty easy to get these days. It's kind of like cannabis. It's hard to get swag. Back in the day,
should we be calling it Molly? Aren't we using the old people term for it?
I think, yeah, we're kind of using a blanket term, but that's how. I mean, if we're talking about the shit that we did,
you never knew it was rolling the dice. Sometimes
everybody had
it.
Everybody had quote unquote E. And it was all different. It was in like, maybe it was pressed into a pill. Maybe it was powder that was in one of those, like in a capsule. Just any kind of pill form or ingestible form, I've probably done it. And it means that I've also done just about every drug out there imaginable.
Yeah, the late 90s,
they don't have
ecstasy
names
in Detroit, you definitely probably, if you did pills, you probably did a little coke, you probably did a little heroin.
You did a little heroin I did a little heroin for sure, a little meth, a little glass, you know, all your speed derivatives, so it would be mixed in in certain volumes.
Yeah, so I guess now it's easy to know you're getting good shit.
Apparently.
See, now I'd like to do it just to know I'm getting pure shit, just to know if I've ever actually done it. Right?
It's been, I want to say, gosh, it's probably been more than 5 years. It wasn't too long ago the last time that I did it. I had an opportunity to, and yeah, I was like, what's in it? And they're like, what do you mean, what's in it? Like, do you think, like the dude was mad that I asked that.
Really?
He was trying to poison me or something, or like slip me a Mickey, and I'm like, dude, I'm old school. I'm just like, you know, like level with me. What's in it? And he's like, it's Molly. Like, that's it. Who would sell anything but Molly? What kind of maniac would put anything else in it?
Well, again, you ever went to parties in the late 90s?
Back in, 90s for Detroit Rays, man.
They were capitalists first. They just wanted to sell the drugs.
We liked mixing our shit, too. Not just me and my friends. I think all of Detroit.
Yeah.
It seemed to be a big, like, let's just do everything.
I did E and acid once. What's that, hippie flipping?
Candy flipping is what we would call it.
Oh. I had an awesome time.
Oh, yeah, it's good. I can report, yeah, ecstasy and acid, good mix.
Oh, no, hippie flip is E and mushrooms. I've done that, too.
Right. Ian mushrooms is good too. Probably a better, actually, because mushrooms is a little bit lower on the emotional scale when it comes to your fluctuations.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into crazy shit, do acid. But if you just want to chill out, do mushrooms.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Drinking.
When you lived here, we had a chance
acid.
to do some acid, and you did, and I didn't, because I was just like, yeah, no, I can't do that. Like, just where I was at the time, I was like, I don't have 2 days. Because when I was young, it was a 2-day experience, because I at least always got good acid. So it was like, 16 hours plus another 16 to recover, like.
Yeah. Yeah, these days, I mean, ecstasy, I guess if it came up in a situation where I was with people that I was comfortable with and we had something, but I don't know. I can't imagine what that circumstance would be. I'm not going to just sit around and do it by myself. And I imagine that there's probably 1 or 2 more acid trips in my future, but then again, if I die never having taken a psychedelic drug again, been there, done that, man. I'm not going to. Yeah. I don't feel like there's anything left to discover there.
Although with all these, shrooms seem to be the next domino to fall, so I might do it just to be interested in like professional grade mushrooms, just to see what that's like.
Well, the reason that's moving so fast is because it is something that they've found ways to produce it in a pharmaceutical form. So
I'm talking about like
very low dose. Yeah, you're not going to get any kind of crazy legalized psychedelics out of legalization of ecstasy and
can if you take enough.
The psychedelic mushrooms. I guess so, yeah. I mean, sure. Every drug could be...
I always ate an eighth of mushrooms. That was my standard dose.
I mean, look, they took speed and they were just like, hey, if we give it in a low enough dosage, we can just give it to kids and they'll be better at homework. Right. And the kids were like, yeah, but if we crush them up and do 10 at a time, man, we are flying.
Yeah, the kids use Adderall a different way in college, folks. Mm-hmm. Just so you know. It's basically legal cocaine.
And no doubt that the pharmaceutical companies knew that that's how it was being used, just like they knew how addictive their opioid drugs were.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, we're kind of all over the map on this one, in this episode. I'm swerving like a drunk driver.
Where'd you learn that, Cheech? Drug school?
Yeah. So Memorial Day brought us, people got to remember what it was like to go back to the movies. Now, there wasn't really anything that I was that geeked about seeing, or else I probably would have went back to the movies just to have the experience again.
I mean, that's definitely not something... I mean, trust me, essentially, back to normal since, I'm fully vaxxed. I always got my mask on me when I'm going in somewhere I haven't been, just in case. Yeah. But, the movies aren't really on list of things I'm itching to do that I haven't been able to do for a while. Because I have a TV and an internet connection.
Not a whole lot of options either just yet, because it's not like they were able to just crank out movies this whole time. There's a whole backlog of shit. There's a whole year's worth of Marvel movies just sitting there waiting to come down the chute.
Just sitting there waiting to make more billions.
Yeah. So we got the sequel to The Quiet Place. I never saw The Quiet Place, so I'm not going to go see that.
I have a problem with John Krasinski. I can't see anything else than Jim Halpert, no matter what else I fucking see him in, whether it's fucking the Jack Ryan shit, or, like, whenever I see him in anything, like, I just see Jim Halpert. It's just...
Every time I see him in something that's not The Office, I'm like, is Jim mad at me? How come he's not looking at the camera? Right?
I mean, it's a good problem to have for him, I guess, but...
Hey, you made your billions. Or your millions. I wouldn't say billions. You don't make billions being an actor.
No, but your job gets to be an actor because of this.
Yeah, you made your money. I hope you invested it wisely. It's going to be an uphill climb, obviously, for us to accept you as that. I mean, he seems to be making a fair shake of it. People like the Quiet Place.
Trust me, I'm in the minority. He's having post-office success.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I'm not saying that I don't see the talent. I just don't see what he's bringing. I tried watching some of that, the is it Jack Ryan? Is that the show that he's got on Amazon?
Whatever. It's the Jack Ryan Show. My wife watches it. I just call it the Jack Ryan Show because I don't know the fucking name.
And I was like, yeah, okay.
You know what he is? He's non-threatening.
Well, yeah.
He's non-threatening, vanilla. Right now, he is Hollywood's, when we need just a guy, he's on that list.
And I think that he could probably make a good career about, if he wants to do like action stuff like this Jack Ryan, then he should be doing Diet Ryan Reynolds. Right. And I know that he's probably pushing away from that because like, I don't want to be the funny guy anymore. I want people to take me seriously, but like, if you don't lighten your shit up, dude, people want to see comedy from you, and you've got that face. You do not have a serious, dramatic face. You've got a mug. You've got a rubbery mug, and it's great. I mean, you're fucking adorable.
There are some people who are built for comedy, like Chris Farley, right? Never was going to see him. You never were going to see him. I mean, he just had the face. He had the comedy face.
Well, Paul Rudd has had great success. His Ant-Man is fantastic. Those movies are amazing fun. And they're successful because they casted perfectly. They said, we need something that's going to hit this tone of like, he's got to be a super serious, he's got to be a real hero and a father and all that shit. But also, it's Ant-Man, so how can you take it that seriously? So Paul Rudd was the perfect person to hit that tone. And they picked him because he's really good at hitting that tone. Whereas John Krasinski is really good at hitting a similar tone, but he's picking projects that, are something different. He's not playing into his strengths.
He's been successful. I mean, we're in the minority. I mean, he wouldn't be on whatever season he's on of that Jack Ryan thing if people weren't watching it. Quiet Place 2 obviously means Quiet Place 1 was a success.
Well, the good news is that him being successful, even though I'm not seeing it, I feel like at some point we're going to get the project that does break through for him, for me at least. He'll find some passion project that really strikes a chord with him. We'll see him do something else. Did you watch his little YouTube
Jim
thing
Halpert
last
in an
summer?
action
Movie. Did I watch what?
His YouTube show last summer, Some Good News.
Oh no,
it was basically he did
not.
It was something he did during the pandemic.
Was this a show that was going to like break through the fake news bullshit and cut down the middle and not be left or right leaning?
No,
am I mixing this up with Captain America's stuff?
Captain America's stuff. No, it was literally called Some Good News, and his whole point of it was, because he did it right at the beginning of the pandemic, like, this is, basically this sucks right now, and you turn on the TV and it's all gloom and doom, and he's like, and I'm just going to come, he's like, I'm going to do once a week, and I'm just going to come on and talk about positive things. Like his daughters made the whole fucking thing he ended up actually selling it to CBS for a shitload of fucking cash. It's being developed into something. But it was on for like maybe... I want to say maybe 8 weeks, 12 weeks, and he had like a virtual office reunion, and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it was all right, but yeah, that was him tapping into it. It was basically just him being him and using his Hollywood friends and Zoom, and it was popular, and it was kind of getting what you were at. It was
kind of playing into his strengths.
Yes.
Trying to think, what were the other movies that were out this last weekend? Oh, Cruella or DeVille or whatever they called it. What did it was called? It wasn't called Cruella DeVille. It was called one or the other. But the movie about the woman who wanted to skin a bunch of dogs to make into a coat.
Yeah, because let's keep telling that story.
I mean,
like we needed an origin story for the villain of 101 Dalmatians. Really?
That story barely makes it into... so, did they actually make an animated sequel to that, or did they just make a sequel to the live action? So I remember there was a live action that was successful enough that they did a sequel to it, right?
Yeah, wasn't Glenn Close the
right
Cruella DeVille?
Yeah, I mean, that's what...
Yeah, as far as I know...
Carries 2 whole movies on her back.
Yeah, when you Google 102 Dalmatians, all you see is this movie.
Right, so they made the sequel only to the live action.
Wait, okay, I'm just now seeing the poster for Cruella.
3 live action movies based off of one animated film with, like, the dumbest of plots.
Yeah. All right, I've just seen the movie poster for Cruella. What is this ripping off?
Well, it's a Disney movie, so it's not ripping off anything. That's
the black and white, the red writing. That's an album cover or something. Like look at like.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice any like definite nods to anything.
Like is that a Madonna album?
It might be.
Anyway, sorry. That's just like that's the first thing I thought of. Like that looks like an album cover I've seen a million times. But anyway, it's
so. Apparently in this movie, spoiler alert, but I've only seen one scene from this movie, and it told me everything that I needed to see. And that was a scene where, apparently this happens at the beginning of the movie, as a young girl, Cruella's mother gets trampled by a bunch of dogs and knocked over a cliff.
Wait, what?
And dies. And that's why she wants to skin dogs and make him into a coat.
I mean...
So it's okay. She's got a reason, right?
You know, I guess Emma Stone might have a gambling problem. Maybe there's a drug problem. I don't know. Like, hasn't she won an Oscar? She won an Oscar, right?
I don't know how you can make this movie work at all. You're trying to explain the motivation for your dog-murdering lead in a movie that's a prequel, so we all know that she goes on to skin dogs. So I might have to just watch this, and I'm not going to give Disney any money for it, at least any more money than I already give them. But I am curious just to see how they managed to end a movie about a person who wants to skin dogs, who we all know in the future does skin dogs. How do you end that movie in a satisfactory way? Having your audience go, maybe Cruella had a point, or maybe she's got some good in her.
Are you ready for your head to explode?
Yeah, did you look it up?
Rotten Tomatoes. Are you ready for your head to explode? Critics 74, audience 97. Yeah, exactly. It says 2,500 plus verified ratings for the audience too. And 302 for the critics.
Wow. I'm really surprised that I might have to check this out. This should be the worst piece of dog shit ever just based on the concept alone. And the fact that it's got, from critics, a 74% even, shit.
But why do we need an origin story for the fucking villain in 101 Dalmatians? Are there going to be fucking, is it not be a Jungle Book sequel about why Shere Khan was such a fucking dick?
Yeah, I'm sure that's already, that's on a board somewhere in a Disney office.
Not everything needs an origin story.
Well, especially not villains.
Is this an attempt to make her soft? Oh, she's this way because her mom was mean to her, or a bunch of dogs killed her mom. So, she's still a psycho. Also, it's a story.
I blame the Joker movie. If that wasn't such a box office success.
And didn't he win an Oscar?
Yeah, I guess he did. Yeah, award-winning too. And it's not a great movie. It's a hard movie to watch. And I understand, like, there are movies that I believe are good and are difficult to watch. R.E., the entire catalog of Lars von Trier, right? Seen most of his movies, loved most of his movies. They are hard to watch. That doesn't mean that it's a less good movie. But the Joker movie is like hard to watch and just depressing, and you don't really get anything out of it. There's nothing satisfactory at the end of it. You walk out of it and you're like, yep, he was crazy. And now he's going to go on to kill a hell of a lot more people. Cool.
Yeah. I just had no interest in... When I heard that they were making it, I had no interest in seeing it. And now apparently... Emma Stone, you know what she did? She's getting in on that sweet, sweet kids movie money. That's what she's getting in on.
Well, I mean, Marvel... I mean, not Marvel. Disney in general. Not just kids... I mean... A Disney movie like this transcends kids' movie money.
Yeah, put you in the Disney universe.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Remember before COVID-19, when we could go to shows or celebrate in person or have family gatherings where the only worry was when someone was going to talk politics? Let's get back to that. Let's get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Sure, we'll have to keep wearing masks for a while, but you know what? This is the start. Go to covid19.nj.gov/vaccine to register for your vaccination. Remember traveling somewhere? Anywhere? Yeah, let's get back to that.
It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts.
The COVID-19 vaccines were developed and tested within stringent guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
We had independent scientific reviews from a data safety monitoring board.
Overwhelmingly, it's safe for you.
Hear more from New Jersey doctors about COVID-19 at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts.
When you're sick, every minute counts. So don't go anywhere. Go to dispatchhealth.com where high-quality medical care comes directly to you. No getting out of a sick bed. No crazy driving to an emergency room. No endless paperwork. No hospital waiting rooms. Visit dispatchhealth.com to learn about our medical professionals, then make house calls. Dispatch Health is covered by Medicare and most major insurance. Go to dispatchhealth.com.
It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts.
The COVID-19 vaccines were developed and tested within stringent guidelines from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
We had independent scientific reviews from a data safety monitoring board.
Overwhelmingly, it's safe for you.
Hear more from New Jersey doctors about COVID-19 at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/VaxFacts. That's nj.gov/health/VaxFacts.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
So, yeah, I actually didn't get out a whole lot over the weekend. Not as nearly as much as I should have, certainly. And instead I watched all of the Daniel Craig 007 movies that have been released to date because I couldn't remember which one of them I have seen. So I just watched them all over again.
And
Plus, we're finally getting another one. We're probably the last one.
Well, yeah, isn't Bond about to be a woman after him?
No.
Wasn't that
no?
the talk?
Because Well, the whole thing about the Daniel Craig movies is that this is the first time that they've presented Bond as a definitive person. If you watch the...
Yeah, well, is he supposed to be just... That's the name of the agent, right? No matter who 007 is.
Right.
Your name is James Bond.
That's kind of been the lore. I mean, I think this is mostly just from the canon that the lovers, the fans of this material bring to it, and something to kind of explain why there's so many different people that have played this one character over the decades. I don't know that that's necessarily in the original text, and I know that, certainly Casino Royale was the first movie that they did with Daniel Craig, right? That's the first Bond book. And I haven't read any of the original Bond novels. I've read some of the comics that they've made based off of the original, and they do explain Bond as like they have a definitive origin for him. 007 is the agent moniker. That's it. James Bond is his actual name. And then in the Daniel Craig movies, they show the headstones of his parents. They explain a bit of his backstory, and there is a larger story that they weave through all the movies so far that is all leading up to this final movie that's coming out.
And so, is this going to be it for James Bond movies? Like, are they letting it? Like, what's going on?
Well, for Daniel Craig, I think this is going to be the last Daniel Craig movie. The James Bond franchise will go on. So Amazon. Wait, was it Amazon that bought MGM?
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, Amazon's apparently going to buy MGM, and the James Bond movies are all made by MGM Studios, but they're not owned by MGM. The rights are still owned by descendants of the guy who wrote the original James Bond stories. I'm blanking on his name at the moment. And it's two people that represent the James Bond estate, essentially.
Hey.
That make all these movies about casting, about when movies come out, about what they could, if they're allowed to make TV shows or anything like this. So just Amazon buying MGM doesn't mean that we're going to get a James Bond TV show on Amazon or more movies or anything like that.
Oh, hey, apparently, like Bond, James Bond has a series of authors.
A series of authors?
Yeah, I mean, I'd look to...
there's been other writers that have written James Bond books. Yeah, absolutely. But
Ian Fleming, is that the main guy?
Ian Fleming is the author.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so he wrote... I think after Ian Fleming probably passed or stopped writing or something, there were other writers.
10 authors,
I don't know.
according to Google.
How many?
10.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Maybe he was farming some of that out. Maybe he was just cranking that shit out and all under his name.
But hey, some good lawyering, by his estate.
Yeah, no
his
shit.
His family's still involved.
I think that I'd have to say that I think they've done a fairly good job of handling the franchise in general, because what usually happens with this shit is, they'll make a Batman movie, right? And maybe it'll do really well. And they're like, ooh, people like Batman again. Let's see how many Batman movies we can make. And then a decade later, they're going, I don't know why people don't like Batman anymore. Well, all right, let's move on. What else we got? And then everyone has to forget about how they ran Batman into the ground, and then they come back, and then they do the cycle all over again.
Right.
And the way that they have controlled the IP of James Bond has allowed him to never overstay his welcome in a way that we're like, no more. You know, we're doing that with Star Wars right now. We're like, I don't need to watch everything. You know, go ahead, make all the Star Wars shows you want. I don't need to watch all of them. And yeah, I think that the way that they've controlled how the movies get made, how they're cast, all this stuff, there's something to their magic, because what other we have other characters like, you know, Batman and Superman that are prime examples of how they've lasted through in our culture over decades, but it's been a real roller coaster ride for Batman and Superman. They have, or, you know, the X-Men or whoever, Ninja Turtles, you know, they have swells and then they die away and then they come back through like some retro thing or nostalgia or get reimagined in some way for a new generation. Whereas they don't reimagine 007. I mean, they tweak the formula here and there, but they're pretty much giving you the same thing, like Mr. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's the formula.
Well, the bet 007's behavior is going to have to be changing here. The lady killing James Bond's probably got to go away.
Absolutely. No, there have been changes, and there's a big, you know, yes, if you watch George Lazenby Bond and then compare that to a modern Bond film, you're like, wow, that's a huge difference. But the differences that you're seeing are the differences in the culture and how our culture handles telling the story of that character.
Yeah. Did you ever see there was a sketch on Saturday Night Live? Chris Parnell was in it, just to give you the idea of the period of SNL. But it was about James Bond goes for a physical, and they tell him that, by the way, you have every STD.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They're like, you have a sexually transmitted disease. They're like, which one? Like, all of them. I forget who was Bond, but Chris Parnell was the doctor.
Yeah. So I don't know. I enjoy the newer movies. I like Daniel Craig, you know, and there's an element that there's an influence of movies like Mission Impossible and the Bourne movies that it's pretty evident in these 007 films. But in the way that, you know, they're building more of a history and tying all this together, whereas, you know, even in the Sean Connery movies, right? They were still separate from each other. You know, it's not like the same guy kept popping up. You were like, oh, you again.
Yeah.
You know, it was like new movie, new situation, new country, new villains, new women. You know, the only thing that remained the same is you got to see him at some point in a tux. You got to see him with his shirt off. You got to see him fire a gun and drink a martini.
Yeah.
Those are your constants.
All the boxes. Check, 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 check,
yeah,
check.
Right. So,
didn't driving a fast car also show up?
Oh, yeah, that's a pretty good one, yeah.
That showed up in like the 80s.
They don't... That's one thing that's missing from the newer movies is the gadgetry. They don't get into it, and they kind of...
Wasn't
this
Q
is
dead?
Supposed to be... No, Q is there, and so there is some of it. Like, by the time you get to, I think, Spectre, he's got, you know, some crazy Alfa Romeo or something or other that's got a bunch of switches and buttons and stuff.
Is John Cleese
But it's
still
also
Q?
It's done as a bit of a prank. No, they've got a very nerdy young Q. So it's a bit of a prank, like because he steals the car and he doesn't know how the gadgetry works and not all of it's loaded. So you don't get like the slick, oh, I've got just the thing for this. I'm going to just flip this switch here and, you know, magically all this oil is going to spray right in front of you.
Did you ever notice minimal training for all this fancy shit?
Yeah, I know. Like stuff that... Like, so that's what they're editing out. They're like, so here's your watch, Bond, and here's your itinerary for your 2-week intensive training course for operating the watch so that you don't blow your arm off.
Yeah, exactly. Or so you don't take out a city block or a school.
Yes.
Yeah, there was never really any... Didn't seem like there was any intense training for all of these destructive devices.
No.
Seems like a liability issue.
Just the briefest of overviews of what it does. And then he's like, no, please, you're cutting into my martini and pussy time.
Into a lot of things that definitely things you don't want to be trying to figure out on the fly.
Yeah.
You definitely want a good, like, so how's this work? So I don't kill me and everyone around me.
Yeah, so I appreciate the reality that they're trying to bring to the newer Bond films, and that's the big part of the reason why you don't get all of the gadgetry and all that, but that's still part of the movie, you know? That's part of the accepted reality.
Can we be allowed to tell a story?
We are pre-built to come into a 007 movie accepting certain things, like the fact that this is the world's most, top secret agent in the world who goes around dressed in a tuxedo announcing his name to everyone. Yeah. Right?
We're at the movies. We're already suspending disbelief. Let's just keep going with it.
A top spy who displays zero espionage skills at any given moment. His idea of espionage is, well, I crouched, so they didn't see me.
Yeah, right.
Right? Yes, but you had a martini in your hand, you were wearing a tuxedo, and you were saying, my name's Bond. James Bond, get it right.
It's all gunplay and pussy for this guy.
I mean, he's really more of a governmental fixer than he is a secret agent.
Right? Yeah.
He's the Queen's Ray Donovan.
He's the wolf. He's Winston Wolf for the government.
Yeah. So the other movie that was in the theaters was that, what was it called? The Angelina Jolie movie it's like a song lyric or it's like these fucking...
I have no idea.
Like diary entry movie titles need to go to hell. It's called like For Those Who Wish to See Me Dead.
What?
Yeah. It's a taut little thriller about an not an ex-fire jumper, a current fire jumper, but one haunted by her past where she failed to save two little kids that were caught in a fire. That's Angelina Jolie's role.
Wait, say this again? There's a lot of bouncing balls to follow.
Yeah, so she plays a fire jumper, right? She jumps into forest fires and helps put them out. And she's haunted by, there was this big fire in the past, and yes, there was two kids that she couldn't get to and she couldn't save, and they keep showing that like she has this flashback. She's always dreaming about it, and they show these two like kids on the hill, like, man, the fire, it's hot. It's like, oh, what the fuck? This movie is fucked. And there's all this machismo, like they're fire jumpers. They're like tough, and she does this stupid stunt where like, get on the back of the flatbed pickup and go drive out on the highway, and then I'm gonna get in there with my parachute and pop the chute and fly up into the air like a crazy person, and everyone's gonna drive behind me and cheer. I'm like, no, you
try that in real life, you would die.
Well, yeah, you'd probably fly back and crash into the car that was following you.
Yeah. Did everybody cheer?
Oh yeah.
No.
But it's a really stupid. So it's like two movies that crash together. So there's a separate movie where a guy has defrauded somebody who we never really know who it is, but they're powerful enough that they have hired killers in the government. I don't know if we ever really know if they're actually governmental agents or not. They appear to be FBI, but they present themselves as many different things over the course of the movie. And they kill the accountant, but his kid gets away, and so they have to finish the job and kill the kid. So the kid goes running into the woods, and Angelina Jolie's in there, and there's a fire. And John Bernthal is there in a cabin because he's somehow related to the kid. Honestly, it would have been a better movie if they cut Angelina Jolie out. John Bernthal was great in it. The woman who played his wife was great in it. The killers were both really good, actually. It was the kid and Angelina Jolie that shit was like damn near unwatchable.
I just again, just no interest in anything you just described.
Yeah, I know what I described isn't people, if they aren't familiar with this movie, would be like, what the fuck is this movie? And that's exactly what I thought. I was watching and go, what the fuck is this movie?
It's a paycheck for Angelina Jolie is what it is. Was this something that was supposed to go to theaters, but they just put it on demand?
Yeah, this was going to be, well, it came out in theaters and was on HBO simultaneously. So that's how I got to watch it. I didn't actually go out to the theaters and watch that one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Isn't it this year? Like, isn't it what Universal movies are all coming out on HBO Max same weekend they come out in theaters?
I don't know if that's going to there was a certain time period or a certain slate of movies that they said that they were going to do for a year. I think that's up before the year's end. And that's definitely not going to continue.
Yeah.
That cost, HBO shelled out a lot of money for that. You know, they had to pay, I mean, just the checks that they cut to Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot alone, that had to have been
for that turd.
Astounding. Yes, for a piece of shit movie. But in order to get them to say, hey, look, you know, I know that we've made the benchmark of how good your movie is based on how much it makes at the box office, but imagine this with me. What if there was no box office?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm sure if I was Patty Jenkins, I was probably going, no, we can wait. I don't need my back end on this right away. I'm good. Let's wait and put it out in the theaters when we can make our money. You know, because that's the thing. It's not just, you know, producers and all that, and you're, especially somebody like Gal Gadot, I'm sure, they have contracts that involve not just whatever they agreed to do the work of the movie, but they have their points. You know, they have a certain percentage, like, if the movie does this well, you're going to get this much. So if they say, we're not going to release your movie, they're fucking those people out of, you know, what might be millions of dollars in some cases. I mean, shit. The money that, what's his name? Iron Man.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. has made, I mean, he made a decent amount of money up front on those, but he took it all on points mostly. He wanted to be a producer on those movies. And that was because he's like one of the best paid actors right now.
He got himself a nice decade and a half in the MCU before they finally killed him. Oh, spoiler alert.
I think I don't know how you would avoid that spoiler at this point.
Right. But everyone sucks now, so just you have to do that. I haven't even seen the movie, and I know he dies. But I also saw an article that I didn't click on it, but apparently it was going down the rabbit hole of there is an open door for him to not be dead.
Well, yes, because it's fiction.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a story. You're right.
Yes, there's many. You're talking a movie about superheroes that draws most of its content from comic books and involves time travel. And
exactly,
we've done like clones and regeneration. I mean, like a number of ways, artificial intelligence, like so many ways that they could bring them back. It's not, and people are they're writing stories about this all the time. This is how they could do this, and they could do all of that. They can't do any of that unless they first agree to get Robert Downey Jr. to do Iron Man again.
Mm-hmm.
Once that agreement is made, they can pick from the whole. They could fucking spin the wheel. It doesn't even matter which one they pick. Like people will just be like, "He's back."
Yeah, well, writer's secret. Roseanne, right? John Goodman's character was dead.
No, he's not.
Yeah, and they were like,
now Roseanne's dead.
When they revived the show, like, oh, it was crazy. It was a dream. The last season was a dream. He never died.
So before this episode dies, we should talk about cannabis. Not a whole lot to talk about, although some big moves. I mean, some news that was big enough to move the markets in some considerable ways. Because not only did they reintroduce the MORE Act, which is the Marijuana Opportunity Reinvestment and Expungement Act, that was this last Friday reintroduced by Nadler, Jerry Nadler, Earl Blumenauer, Sheila Jackson Lee, Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know these other people, Nadia Velazquez. I'm butchering this name, I'm sorry. But yeah, so the MORE Act, this has been bouncing around for quite a while. But this is our ultimate, like, take it off Schedule 1, legalize it, let the banks, do their thing. Let all these currently legally operating cannabis businesses across the nation actually bank.
And it may have a shot. You got a blue House, you got a blue Senate.
Well, they've got some more backers this time, namely Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
Is behind it this time. That's what, not, so the MORE Act being reintroduced, that was expected. We've been talking about it. We've been expecting it to be one of the things that the Biden administration addresses in its first 6 months. Now, this wasn't an issue that the administration per se was pushing, but this was to be expected that they would have to address it. Curious to see how they're actually going to handle that if this does make its way through Congress, but we'll deal with that bridge when we get to it, I guess. Yeah, what actually sent the stock soaring was the announcement that Amazon was backing this, that they were in favor of this legislation, and also announced that they were going to be changing their hiring practices.
Well, I mean, then it's a done deal. The biggest generator of revenue in the country, possibly the world, is putting money into this. It'll pass, because that's how politics in this country works.
Yeah, it usually is. So in this story on the Hill, it says that Amazon announced its support for legislation that seeks to legalize marijuana at the federal level, that it will stop screening certain workers for the use of the drug.
Well, I was thinking, maybe they mean not. I still think of Amazon. I still think they're like this company in Washington, right? But yeah, they're global. So yeah, because I'm thinking like, why are they? Because my first thought when I read this is, why aren't they doing it? They're from Washington, but no, there's Amazon in Michigan, there's Amazon in Arkansas, there's Amazon fucking everywhere. Which, yeah, I've been looking for work the last few months here. It still astounds me that people test for weed, especially in our state. Like, what do you test for beer too? Reminded of Doug Stanhope. Well, are you having fun on the weekends?
I think this is, I think this is a business move. No. I was dropped on my head as a child, and I think that Jeff Bezos is doing this because he thinks it's the right thing to do. Of course, it's a fucking business move.
Yeah.
But it's a business move because Amazon needs workers like everybody needs workers right now, and Amazon is planning on continuing to expand. They got let's face it, coronavirus was excellent for Amazon. And they don't want that party to end. They want to continue. They want to use that as leverage to continue their growth. And they're not going to be able to do that if they're testing all their workers for cannabis and saying, oh, no, I guess you can't work here. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, this is about getting a decent workforce for Amazon. And that's why they're not just changing their policy, but putting their support behind the MORE Act as well. I mean, they put out a statement. Wait, where's the quote from this?
Well, it's probably also laying some groundwork, too. I mean, if you think about it, Amazon delivers things, right? And you know where this is heading. Amazon starts getting in on the weed game, it's fucking done. Like anybody else who delivers, it's over.
A letter which was signed by dozens of current and former prosecutors, judges, and police officers provided a number of reasons the legislation should be passed, including, quote, to repair and strengthen the relationships between us and the people we serve. Are they talking about the same? Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry. I had gotten this. This was a separate letter that was signed by a bunch of current and former law enforcement professionals that was sent to Congress last year. So this wasn't from the. I thought that quote was from the from Amazon. Here's the quote from Amazon. In the past, like many employers, we've disqualified people from working at Amazon if they tested positive for marijuana use. However, given where state laws are moving across the U.S., we've changed course. So, yeah, they actually do kind of keep it neutral. They don't talk about injustice or, anything like that or personal freedoms, certainly.
Thank you, Amazon, for not playing the race card.
I don't see anything about race in here.
Oh, no, what is it? How many legalization stories have we talked about in the last few months where we're like, wait for it, and there it is.
And the black people.
Yeah, and it talks about essentially like, and the question, I'm speaking in sentence fragments because I'm stoned, but the question we both always come back to is like, okay, when brown people are still being arrested after weed is legal, what's your next boogeyman? And Amazon did not include that in their statement. They're just going, hey, we used to test people for weed. We probably disqualified some good candidates. Laws are changing. We're not going to test for weed anymore. That's their statement in a nutshell right there.
Yeah, it's a rather practical statement, which I appreciate. It's not. We don't need to idealize it.
Don't need to score any woke points simply because you're changing a company policy. Now that you think about it, that's made me think Amazon keeps it right down the middle with their advertising, with everything, because they want everybody to use it. Like, there's definitely been some commercials from some companies during the pandemic where, like, if I'm, like, an independent outside viewer, like, looking at their ad campaign, I'm like, you're taking a stance here. You're going to alienate some of your, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, yeah. Well, look at,
it's all tied in. Remember Michael Jordan, conservatives buy sneakers too? It's like, that kind of thing. Like Target is the thing that comes to the Target commercials I see. Like, man, like you are alien. Don't you want everyone to shop at Target? Amazon commercials, they're never overtly taking any kind of stance. They're always right down the middle. They're always just trying to get you to order from Amazon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, every Target commercial that I've seen lately has been like, go get fucking vaccinated. I'm like, okay, look, I got vaccinated. I support people getting vaccinated. I think that you should get vaccinated. Why is Target taking this stance? This is so weird. I get that. Well, I forgot. That's right. Target has pharmacies now. That's why.
Yeah, they partnered with CVS.
Yeah.
No, but their commercials.
So they want you to come get vaccinated and then, buy some toilet paper.
Well, yeah, their commercials the last few months, people always got masks on. There's always at least one brown or black person in it, sometimes two, somebody in a wheelchair, somebody old, somebody young, like all body types. It's like, okay, I guess you're going for the young people then, Target, because there's some people over 40 that or 50 that are probably like, I ain't going to fucking Target, because of your commercials. Like, it's... Mm-hmm. Trust me, I do the dance with my radio gig every day. I was talking to my program director about it. I said, everything that comes out of my mouth, I try to make sure I am not taking a stance on anything, because
that's not your job, and that's not why people are tuning in.
Well, but just that could be viewed as taking a stance on anything,
right?
Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's because we're just in this crazy culture now where even if you give how you feel about something, that's taking a stance now. And it's like I haven't mentioned on the air I'm vaccinated. I haven't mentioned none of that. Like, it can be viewed as taking a stance.
Well, look, what's happened with Twitter is a perfect example of that, because when Twitter started, everyone was like, I don't even get what this is. And the early adopters were like, oh, it's just a short format. I get to just shoot off random thoughts, maybe something out the top of my head, just shooting from the hip,
It's pure
That's what Twitter is. Out some jokes. Yeah, you just like, that's how I've always used it, is like I had a funny thought or I came across something that would be cool to share. But now, people look at a single tweet that may not even be a complete sentence and they're like, this person has published their manifesto. Like, this is their life's work. Their core beliefs have been presented in tweet form. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's so yeah. It's a good job on your advertising, Amazon, because they just want you to order Amazon. They don't care about anything.
Right. So they're taking no stance on whether people should or shouldn't smoke it. They're taking a stance on the reality of the workforce that they're presented with.
Yeah. Well, especially too. Yeah, their workforce is warehouse workers. You don't think warehouse workers smoke weed?
Yeah. I don't know how you could work in an Amazon warehouse without weed.
Yeah, right. How could you not be high at work? My sister-in-law did it for a minute. You just pick stuff all day. That's all you do.
Mm-hmm. So I guess there's going to be some legislation in Michigan that's looking to just do a bit of spackle work on our current legalization and the classification. You know, there's been so many different products, even just since legalization, recreational happened here in Michigan. There's been more products that have popped up between all the different forms of CBD and now the Delta 8. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Because the Delta 9 would be your standard THC. But you've got like diet weed and CBD joints and like all of this different stuff that like it's not just about like here's THC weed and this gets you high and here's CBD and this doesn't. Like there's a whole spectrum in between. So the new law is basically it's going to get a lot of these hemp-derived products out of the gas stations and corner stores and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, we had to know this was coming at some point.
Yeah. And, you know, most of this stuff seems totally benign. It's not a big deal. You know, we're not even talking about psychoactive stuff, so why does anyone really care? But we've also seen where this goes. We have two rather recent examples that we've talked about a lot on this show of how unregulated products on a market, even if it's not a totally black market, can go wrong and have horrible consequences. Look at all the fake weed products that were available at gas stations like about 5 years ago. They were all the rage. And then turns out some of the shit some of the chemicals they were spraying on that shit really fucking bad for you.
Yeah.
You're basically poisoning yourself. Look at the THC cartridges that we were talking about earlier. The black market THC cartridges were the whole reason why people were getting sick from the vitamin D shit that they were putting in there. So that's what happens.
I mean, I liken all this stuff to like you go into Rite Aid and like, look, it's Bob's Tylenol. I'm not buying Bob's Tylenol. I don't know where this is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a cork on it.
Yeah.
You know? It's got like a cork and it's sealed with Scotch tape around it.
Yeah.
No, like, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any of these products. Have all the different types of CBD and Delta, whatever the fuck you want. Just, if you're going to regulate cannabis, regulate it all the same. It should all be regulated. Ultimately, it's not about, the regulation isn't about, does it fuck you up or not? It's you're putting something in your body.
It's about knowing what's in it.
That's why the regulation.
Yeah, as someone who comes from the restaurant industry, I like to know what I'm putting in my body. I've said this 100 times. I'm not really a fan of government regulation for things, but I am when it comes to things that I put into myself. I want to know what I'm ingesting, what I'm eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm smoking.
Yes. Yeah, and the current regulations that we have just barely stop them from poisoning us completely. You know, it basically makes sure that we don't just eat rat poison, but they've still found plenty of other ways to poison us. So yeah, this new regulation is going to sew up some of those loopholes, and you know, it fucks with your market too. You know, if you want to produce your diet cannabis or your CBD joints or whatever it is, you should have to have the same oversight that the regular cannabis producers have. Otherwise, you've got an unfair advantage.
Should be rules to follow if you make something that people ingest.
You know, I don't get into all the studies that I come across, but this was something interesting that kind of confirmed something that I suspected for a while. But, people talk about THC, psychoactive, CBD, all the healthy shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that cut and dry, that they're seeing that when it comes to just studying medical marijuana and trying to isolate certain parts of it, which is how we came across CBD in the first place, is isolating out the things that are the molecules that were actually being reactive in certain ways and what they were actually doing. But they're finding out that there's, it's not just about if you're looking to zero in on something, whatever that might be. Like, let's say you're taking cannabis for as an appetite stimulant, or you're taking it for pain, or whatever it might be. If you're trying to distill that down into a pharmaceutical product that can be consistent and really target and has nothing to do with any kind of recreational stuff, you want to isolate out those the functioning molecules for that. But it's not always just CBD. They're finding that and it might not just be that about THC either. It's the combination that you actually do need. and there is a varying degree of THC in these CBD products. It's never enough that I think you couldn't get high off of it if you tried, but there's still enough in there for it to be, if this was an FDA approved product, they'd have to list in there contains, a certain percentage of THC.
I'm sure in a few years we're going to have this all figured out. I mean, we're still at the beginning, right? Not everybody still has medical.
Yeah.
Only 20% of the country is legal right now. We still got 30% more to go.
Well, government funding
80.
is ultimately
Wow.
what pushes medical advancement forward these days. So, I mean, we just talked about how they finally, the DEA opened up licensing for medical marijuana for studying purposes for the government just recently, and took that contract out of the hands of the Georgia University, wherever
Mississippi.
Mississippi, thank you. Yeah,
a state with no medical,
right?
No recreational.
It was producing horrible quality.
Yeah, probably not the best climate. I mean, it's I don't know. It's warm and wet, so maybe it is.
Yeah, but I don't know. You don't hear people say, "No, you got to get that Mississippi weed, man."
No, yeah, it's all about the Cali weed. Just you know why NorCal is so famous for weed? It's just because it really is, as far as environmental conditions. Apparently, it is just like that Emerald Triangle that you've probably heard referenced. It's just the conditions there are just that they're just optimal for growing weed. It's really just how it came about. Like it's in a Goldilocks zone environment wise for growing weed.
All right, we should wrap up, honey.
All right. So please follow us on social media. We are on Facebook. Please like us there. Follow us on Twitter at the Weisman420. Instagram's there. Weisman Podcast. Email us, the Weisman Podcast at ChristopherMedia.net. Head to ChristopherMedia.net. Hit the PayPal button. Hit the Amazon button. Those are how you can help us out. And wherever you listen to us, please rate us and review us. That helps people find out about us. And we're on YouTube, too. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Shows there as well. Wherever, we just want ears, right? So wherever you want to listen to us, we've made it possible for you to listen to us. So thank you for listening, and stay high.
Stay high.
Remember before COVID-19? when we could go to shows or celebrate in person or have family gatherings where the only worry was when someone was going to talk politics? Let's get back to that. Let's get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free. Sure, we'll have to keep wearing masks for a while, but you know what? This is the start. Go to covid19.nj.gov/vaccine to register for your vaccination. Remember traveling somewhere? Anywhere? Yeah, let's get back to that.
It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/vaxfacts. It's okay to have questions about getting vaccinated for COVID-19. Wherever you are in your decision, the New Jersey Department of Health can help. Watch New Jersey doctors discuss important COVID-19 vaccine information at nj.gov/health/vaxfax. That's nj.gov/health/vaxfacts.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.